Okay, we are live, you guys. Welcome back. And I'm telling you, we got a lot of previews as we are now headed into the sweeps month for the month of November. And boy, I tell you, Bold and the Beautiful definitely decided to give us a grand opening for sweeps month. And we're going to talk about it. Oh my goodness. It was crazy. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, let folks stroll on in here, and then we'll get started. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Jacqueline, Joyce, Aisha. Welcome in, you guys. Wow. I know, Myra. Wow. Exactly. Tell me about it. Oh my God, it's already 25 of you guys in here. So let me go ahead and get started. Welcome. Hey, J Money. Welcome you guys to Soap Corner Talk. We're going to discuss The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful for October 30th. And I gotta say, for Bold and the Beautiful, it definitely opened the gateway for November sweeps. November sweeps officially kicks off tomorrow, 10/31, and goes throughout the rest of the month of November. And boy, I'm telling you, insane. Hey, Blackpink Me, Valerie, Angela, Ruby. Hey, you guys. All right, so without any other further ado, let's go ahead and quickly cover The Young and the Restless. And I'm going to quickly talk about this Nate story. Obviously, this whole thing with Nate and Damien, the situation being dropped in his lap to try to not only find the guy, tell him that your mother is sick. And, oh yeah, by the way, my dad is your dad, not the man that you thought that passed away. I think that's incredibly selfish, and I might be an unpopular opinion. I mean, she kept the paternity secret for a very long time, and of course, it's in true soap fashion, and a little bit of Maury Povich. But she kept that secret to herself, where, her husband that she married didn't know that the child he was raising was not his. The son that was being raised by that same father didn't know that that was not his biological father. And now she's sick, and now she wants him to drop all that information. And so we saw a conversation with Audra and Nate. And Audra is like, something don't smell right with this one. I smell a scam. And I never thought about that. Now, I know, they're trying to bring the new character on. I'm curious to find out who Damien is being played by. But could it possibly be some sort of a scam? Audra is saying, hey, you're successful, you're a doctor, you're working in the business world, you're one of the executive members of Winters. Maybe she wants something. Maybe she's up to something. And Nate was like, you know what? Could it be possible? Because when I tried to recommend treatment for her, she didn't want it. And he found that quite suspicious, which gave him some things to think about. We actually had a replay of baby Nate talking to Nate Sr. And I remember that guy. I can't think of his name, but I've seen him in many TV shows and other movies. But I remember him from back in the day. He played in so many different other television shows and movies and stuff. J Money said, I haven't watched today's episode yet, but I watched yesterday's and felt scam as well. Yeah, I mean, it could be. Yeah, Jacqueline, we are in for one heck of a November sweeps month on both shows. If you listened to us yesterday when Bree was on the call with me, we were saying that Young and the Restless have a lot of bombshells that need to be exploded. So we got the storyline with Chancellor. We got the storyline with Sharon. Now we have the storyline with Nate and his half-brother. And I'm telling you, it is going to be explosive. The situation with Diane. Y&R has a lot of moving parts. Plus, we have the 13,000th episode. We got the new, the new old ranch, because they decided to recreate the ranch from previously, because I think it was way back in 2012 when Sharon burned down the original ranch, and when she originally had the bipolar storyline. And Abby's getting married, and I have a feeling that probably, as usual soap fashion on Y&R, is where something's bad probably going to happen at that wedding. I don't know, but all I'm going to say is that they're gearing up for a lot of moving parts on Y&R. Today's episode was, it was okay. I don't think it stood out like maybe yesterday's episode or maybe the day before. But, I would say, we had the conversation where Nikki is trying to have a conversation with Lily. Lily is like, look, I'm not talking to you no more. You tried to manipulate me. You tried to manipulate me with talking about Catherine's legacy, and you're going to have a hard time getting your hands on that company because Jill is back in the mix and she's about to put me in charge when Billy is out. So if you think I'm going to be working beside you, that ain't going to happen, because I'm going to be working in the top spot myself when Jill takes control of the situation, which remains to be seen, because there is a spoiler at the end of the week, I think for the Friday episode, that let me see. Okay, so it was like she gets bad news or something. Yeah, so Brooklyn says, hey T, looking forward for Audra and Sally getting together on their own business. That would be nice. That would be very, very interesting. And she was wondering maybe she should give up on this idea. Maybe I'm in over my head. Maybe this is not going to work. Maybe I should just move on. Maybe she should just move on. Cheryl says Lily is definitely on Delulu Island. Absolutely. I don't think this is going to go as smoothly as she think it is, in my opinion. Who knows? They could make it where Lily wins on this one, but I'm not sure about that, in my opinion. So, I guess we will have to see. Then we had Nikki going back to Victor to tell Victor about the conversation, and she like, look, maybe we need to hurry up and get this thing moving, because Jill is back in the mix. What you gonna do? And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm gonna handle Jill. We'll see about that, Victor, whether you'll be able to handle Jill. Sandra said Lily's gonna fall flat on her face. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Hey, Jenna. Yeah, and then she turns around and says, I need you to not stop. You need to stop going after Jack. We need to focus on Chancellor right now and, deal with this, because if Jill and Lily is going to get in our way, I won't have a job, in so many words. And so I don't believe Victor when he says that he's done with making Jack pay. I honestly think he's lying, because he still got that whole negotiation going on with Diane. So he's lying. He's definitely lying. Jenna said, does Nikki know that she's talking to a brick wall? Absolutely. She should know after 40 years, you would think. Nikki have to stop enabling Victor because he has no respect for her. I agree with you on that. But she ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. She gonna keep doing the same thing she has been when it comes to Victor. But he claimed that he's now going to give Jack a break, and we need to focus on Chancellor. Yeah, well, he's working with Diane, so it's not over. And then we saw the conversation happen between Victor and Kyle, because Victor wanted to know how Jack found out. And of course, it was easy to figure that out. Like Kyle said, I can help you with that. Audra did it. Who has an axe to grind when they lost their job but Audra? Now my question is, she had an NDA. I'm wondering if they're going to enforce that now, since, you know, she told Jack or whatever about him being behind her side. Yeah, Jenna. Jenna said Victor is stringing Nikki along. I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, it was an okay episode. Oh, also one other thing. Sally got an invitation from Abby to create her dress. Whoop-de-doo. I expected as much, because I'm like, what big break is she going to get except the fact that Abby is getting married and Abby wants wants her to design her wedding gown. Okay, cool, whatever. I mean, today's episode didn't give me that factor. I'm curious to see whether or not this is a scam. But everything else is just a continuation on as we go down the pathway of the other storylines, in my opinion. And, I really wanted to get through that one quickly because to me it was no big deal. So I give it a C today. What y'all giving Y&R? Jenna said this is no big break. She did the same thing to Victoria. I know, it's not that big of a deal. They made this as a whole spoiler. Oh my God, she gets an exciting opportunity. She's a designer. She was going to design something. Crazy Mother Dance. I like that name. She gave the episode a big old fat F. Oh my God, I see C's and D's. Okay, so y'all were thinking on the same line as I was. It was alright. It wasn't like on the edge of your seat excitement. You know what I mean? So as Bree would call it, I would call it what she would call it, which would be a filler episode. So, no big deal with this one. And I know y'all really didn't want to come here today to talk about Y&R. We know what we're here for. I know, Vicky. Be bold, be beautiful. Absolutely. So, you know what? Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the bold and the beautiful. So, here's my thing. For somebody who wants to keep a secret, Carter has a big old beautiful penthouse condo. I know, J Money, usually Wednesday's episodes are like peak. You know what I'm saying? So for a filler episode on a Wednesday is wild. But yeah, Crazy Mother Dan said it was boring. Yeah, it was a filler episode. It was like, yeah, this is the bridge that's going to keep the storylines going forward. Okay. Well, Jacqueline, you got to go watch it. She says she haven't watched Bold yet. Well, you need to go watch it, girl. Anyway, I'm telling you, if you want to keep things a secret, don't do it at the job and in an office that everybody walk in and out of. That was the dumbest thing ever for Hope to do, but we'll get to that point. So they were canoodling in the office, and of course Hope is praising Carter about his big ideas, and she's like, oh, they should take your idea, you know, that's valuable. I'm like, well, whose money, Hope? Are you gonna write a check for them to do this? And you gonna bring in investors to split the company in 3,000 different ways? Hope is like, oh yeah, we need to think big. We can do this, Carter. Oh my God, it's a great idea. It's a great idea if you got the money for it. And they talking like they gonna use their own money. Now, granted, we heard Carter say that he would invest in it, but I don't believe that. They want to spend Forrester money to get his ideas going. So, of course, they start, talking about, I remember you said that you like to see me in lingerie, because the lingerie items came in for the Brooke bedroom line. And sure enough, they started kissing, and guess who walked in? Once again, Brooke. And it's like, do y'all learn from the first time to lock the door? Lock the darn door. If you want privacy, lock the door. Brooke came right on in there talking about, see, this is what I'm talking about. Anybody could have walked in. Yeah, you. And I mean, I can't blame Brooke because it's a public office in that building. This is not like, like Fan. He has an office at the hospital. So if he wanted to lock his door, he could. But this is a public office where Katie comes in, RJ, Zende, Ridge, Eric, Katie. Anybody could have walked in that office, and y'all want to keep this a secret. And then, Carter started asking Brooke, have you heard anything? Did Ridge say anything? Did he give you kind of any indication that, he might say yes? And Brooke gave him a little bit of reality. She was like, look, dude, this is a big ask. Well, I don't see how we can do it. Okay, once again, are you putting up the money? You talking about loans, investors, making it a public company, other shareholders. You want your ideas on the table, but you're not the one paying for it, Carter. So he decides, you know what, I'm going to go have a conversation with Ridge, and left, okay? But before Carter gets into that room, there's a conversation going on in there between Taylor and Ridge. And of course, there's a whole lot of flirting. And I'm like, Ridge, you waffling pine cone, as Bree said, pine cone poppy. I'm like, all those mixed messages, and I'm glad you're going to be around. I mean, we glad you're going to be around. I'm like, dude, come on now. You did bad trying to clean that up. And he didn't want her to leave and all this. So I'm like, what would Brooke say if she came in and saw all of that? Ridge. Really? Yeah, Mari. Eric said we'll put him in bankruptcy. If they don't have the funds, and Carter should know what the numbers look like. It's like saying I'm finna take $5,000 and I'm gonna buy a luxury Mercedes worth $250,000. You don't have the money. Bridget says, and she tagged me, it's a rumor about a possible hookup between Finn and Ivy. Have you heard something? I have not. That would be an interesting twist if that happens. But I have not, Bridget. At least Ridge met his match with Brooke. I know, right? Daycare with the kids. Jenna says, I think by the end of the week, Ridge isn't going to care what Brooke says. This is about to blow sky high. And I'm telling you, by them putting this episode today being the day before November sweeps, it was an excellent gateway to, the sweeps month. But I'm like, he's sending all those mixed messages, and she was like, oh, thank you so much for all of the phone calls, all of the text messages, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, he really been keeping in touch with you. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. No, that's not an old picture, J Money. That happened on today's episode. It was at the end of today's episode. You need to go watch it. I'm surprised, but you probably was busy. But that happened today. That's not an old picture of Finn and Hope. Anyway, and then the chemistry between those two. I mean, if Brooke does get mad at Ridge for, not taking Hope's side or whatever's going to happen on Friday's episode, November 2nd, it's possible that once again we'll see Taylor in his orbit. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not interested in a triangle, but I mean, who's to say that Brooke won't get mad and break up with Ridge because remember, Ridge is going to side with his daughter by the end of the week, right? But it might happen as soon as tomorrow, especially with the cliffhanger from today's episode. In the meantime, Carter finally walks in, and he's asking about his ideas and, what do you think about him? And, he's going on and on about, we can have our gowns worn, and they're wearing our jewelry, and they're wearing the fragrances, and somebody's wearing a belt. And I mean, it's a good picture, but who paying for it, Carter? Who paying for all that? Since you got big ideas, carry your butt somewhere, get a building, and start your own business and your own legacy. You know what I'm saying? Bridget said, well, I agree that Ivy is all about Liam, but things don't go that way. I can see something old girl would turn her sights on Finn, especially to stick it to Steph. That would be crazy. That would be one heck of a twist if they threw Ivy in the middle of Steph and Finn. Yep. Jenna, you think Brooke is going to ask Eric to ask him to fire Steffi? Oh, man. Now, let's switch over to the conversation at the Cliff House, because, out of all that fluff and him being shirtless and Steffi don't want to go to work because she want to spend time with her husband, I'm okay with that. They brought up the thing with Hope, and she knows something is off about this because Carter is Team Hope all of a sudden, overnight. He made a pivot. And they was talking about, I love you, and nothing else is going to come between us. And I'm like, something's bad about to happen. But anyway, what was interesting is Steffi. When she said, yeah, the jury line is starting, but she's a Forrester. She belongs at the company. I was happy to hear that. Because maybe we can make a shift with this divide. Hopefully they don't put Finn in the middle of this. But maybe we can make a shift where Steffi and her cousin will begin to be close. And I like the fact that she said, but you know what? Ivy is a Forrester. She deserves to be a Forrester Creations. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm agree with that. I can agree with that. Yep. I definitely can agree with that. So I'm glad that she did say that. And maybe they can work it out. That'll put some leverage on her side. Jenna said yes, and remember that Steffi said a while back that there were too many Hogans in the company. Girl, you crazy. But I would love to see that. Alright, switching back to the office. So meanwhile, after Brooke left, Carter's in the other room talking to Ridge. And remember from the scene at the Cliff House, Steffi walked out. Last time she left a darn phone at Bill's house, and we know how that ended up. This time she left her tablet at the house, and Finn had to chase after her. Of course he was going to the job. I'm like, something's about to happen. Finn comes in, and back up. So Hope is looking at all of these beautiful pieces of lingerie. And she got the bright idea that she's going to dress up in lingerie in a public office. This is coming from the same girl that says we need to keep this relationship a secret. But you getting dressed up in lingerie in a office that's like Grand Central Station. Any and everybody come out of that office, including kids. So who's to say Steffi's kids won't come up there? Liam decided to bring Beth up there. Anybody could come through that office. Anybody. Even Eric, for God's sake. He owned the darn place, right? She decided to go get a piece of lingerie, go hide behind the little dressing area, put the darn thing on, and was going to surprise Carter. Well, unfortunately, Carter wasn't the one that walked in the room. It was Finn. Finn is bringing his wife, which is weird to me because why would you bring, and this is a writer's flaw, writers, why would you bring the tablet in the design office instead of the CEO office. I mean, your wife is the CEO, but okay, writers. That was a writer's flaw. You're trying to be slick. Why would you leave it in there when she's the CEO? You could have took it in the CEO office, gave it to Ridge or whoever else was in there, and say, "Hey, Steph left her stuff. I'm just dropping it off." No, you drop it off in the design office. Whatever, writers. He knocks over he knocks over pencils on the desk. Hope is like coming from behind there, thinking like it was Carter. She trips in her lingerie, falls on top of Fan, and he's like, "Whoa, wait a minute, Hope, what, and guess who walks in? Because she's obviously coming to talk to Hope. Steffy walks in and got the shock of her life, yelling, "Get your you-know-what off my Emma effing husband." And she didn't say that. That was just for colorful dynamic. "Get your behind off my husband." And you can see the rage in her face. You can see the shock in Hope's face. And Fan is like, "What just happened?" Yep, you're right. She knocked the pins over. Hope heard it come from behind the thing. Trips, fall on top of Fan on top of that desk. And guess who walks in? Steffy. And she is hotter than fish grease. Now, here's the interesting thing, you guys. Hope is at an impasse because she's more than likely going to explain that this was a mistake. Fan is going to be like, "She tripped and fell on me. I came in because you left your tablet and I dropped it off. She fell and tripped." There's still another pointing question out there, Hope, because even if you clear up the whole situation with Fan, who were you getting dressed in lingerie for? And you're going to have to answer that. Now, I mean, she could sidestep this and say, "Hey, my mom's stuff came in. I really wanted to try on a few pieces to see how I like it." I mean, she could say something like that to get her out of that. But, you're going to have to explain that lingerie. Even though she can get out of the situation with Fan, she's going to have to explain why she got dressed. Actually, she could easily say she was just trying out. Yeah, that's what I just said. Yep. She could say, "Oh, I was just trying on some of my mom's lingerie and blah, 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 blah." My question is anybody going to walk in that room? Anybody else? Her mom, Carter, whoever. But I don't think Steffy is going to take this lying down. I think that as much as we know this was all a big, huge mistake, Steffy is definitely not going to see this as a mistake. She's still going to see this as her trying to come on the Fan. That's what she going to see it as. Yeah, I know. Jenna says she is done. She is cooked. Stick a fork in her. She's done. That whole scene was in the freaking same for a cliffhanger leading into November Sweeps, which starts tomorrow. LaShanta said that's what she get. Unprofessional. I mean, seriously, did she actually think that it would be smart? Let's just take Fan and Steffy out of here. You said that you wanted to keep this between you and Carter. You didn't want an office romance to begin with. Yet you trying to get your romance on in the office where everybody can walk through there. All she had to do is text him to say, "You know what, I'm going to meet you back at your place. I'm taking an outfit from my mom's collection, and I know you want to see me in it." Easy peasy lemon squeezy. She could have waited till her butt got home instead of trying to skip to the loo, my darling, all through that design room with Carter. He would have been eager to get out of that CEO office talking to Ridge and say, "You know what, I gotta go." That's all she had to do. Say, hey, Carter, I know you want to see me in one of these pieces. You know what? Meet me back at your place, and we can pick up where we left off. And don't forget to light the fireplace and the candles. And we can finish off the rest. That's all she had to do. Get out of Forrester, go to his place, and then, he can knock the cobwebs out, blow your back out. Y'all can tear up the walls in his place, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? But no, she wanted to be spontaneous and decide that she want to put on lingerie at work. Exactly. Angela even said go to the steam room or something. Aisha said I need to write the script. Listen. Hey, and for y'all ladies out there, y'all can take that clip and be like, hey, hey babe, I know you want to see me in some lingerie. You remember that piece that you were looking at the mall in the window? Well, guess what? I got it just for you. Meet me back at the house about 7:30. I got the wine and the candles. You bring your hot rod and we can go. Oh, man. Anyway, that's how you be creative. But no, she wanted to do that in the office. And Eric could have walked in there. Anybody could have walked in that room and she would be busted and disgusted. Yeah, go home. Go home. Go home. Go home. Cheryl, listen, you got to keep it creative. Come on now, girl. She said, T, you something else. You got to keep it creative. She could have sent that text. Carter would have been running out of that room with Ridge so fast and make Ridge head spin. Be like, dang, he was just in here trying to get me to buy into his vision and he just took off. I wonder where he's going. Nope. So that's what she get. Now she got some splaining to do to Steffy. Yep. She got some splaining to do, and she's going to have to explain this situation with Finn, even though Finn probably know this is a big old mistake. And Hope knows it's a mistake too, because that wasn't for him. That was for Carter. But she can easily explain herself out of this, that she was trying on stuff, and he walked in, and I didn't know he was in the room, and all this kind of stuff. She only looked good with Tom and Sandra. Well, Sharon, this is not like Skinamax or Netflix. They can only show so much. Even when she got with Thomas, they show her like with a 2-piece underwear set, but it wasn't over the top. This is still daytime TV, and if fans have been having a problem with all of the lingerie from the dope season, then maybe it's a whole problem. So they ain't gonna give us all of that stuff like they used to. But I'm curious to see what's gonna happen tomorrow. I'm gonna give it an A. I enjoyed today's episode. Yeah, Jenna, I don't think Steffi's gonna buy that too. Steffi is not gonna buy that. She gonna fire that girl. She is done. She's cooked. And then, of course, this is where Carter is probably going to crash out. Brooke is going to be wondering, like, what the heck is going on? She going to go up in there, I found Hope on top of my husband, which means that somebody got to tell somebody, because Brooke is keeping a secret from Ridge, too. What is Brooke going to say? She don't want Finn. She did that for Carter. So, both of them got some secrets. All three of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what happens in the first day of November Sweeps episode, which is tomorrow, October 31st. It's a Halloween episode. Now, I do know that there was a spoiler about Sheila Carter dressing up for Halloween, and they're putting some decorations over at Irgidino. So we're probably going to get a lot of that tomorrow. But they better not hold us off till Friday. They better give us a combination of Sheila and what happened with this situation. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it is going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to the sweeps month. See what's going to happen. But, yeah, I think Carter's going to crash out. Brady says, hope sex appeal is like watching paint dry. Oh, my goodness. You know what? Thomas actually was the best on-screen chemist. They had the best on-screen chemistry. I miss those two, but obviously it looked like we're not going to get that anytime soon. Oh yeah, tomorrow's going to be Deacon and Carter. That's a good point, because I saw the spoiler pictures, because Carter is going to be over at Irgidino talking to Deacon, and then they're going to be all dressed up for Halloween. I hope they don't make us wait till Friday. We want to see everything from today, but who knows? Maybe Hope might explain herself out of this whole situation. Yeah, I know. Thomas is the best. Always the best. You're right, Tamika. Absolutely. TA say upcoming November sweeps is already sweeping. You are correct. J Money said, I actually really like Hope and Carter's chemistry, and that vanilla and chocolate is really a nice contrast on screen. Jenna says they're going to be fussing about Steffy. Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting to see how they bridge over the cliffhanger from today. All right, you guys, we're going to end it there. We had a filler episode. Bree and I should be on later tonight. I know she's going to have a lot to say about today's episode as well. And stay tuned for that. I might be coming on a little bit earlier. I would talk to Bree and see if maybe we can go a little bit earlier, because I have that other show, Sisters, that we watch. I know we tend to talk pretty long on the Wednesday midweek chat, and sometimes it can cross over into us watching Sisters, and I kind of like a break in between. You know what I'm saying? So I might go a little bit earlier today. I'm looking probably somewhere around 5:30 Central Time, which is about 6:30 your time. So Eastern Time, that is. So we'll see. I'll get in touch with her. But yeah, I would kind of like to get the midweek chat done a little bit earlier, get her thoughts in, and then we'll be good to go. Alright, y'all, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you're notified every time a video or live or spoilers are posted. And until the next one, we'll see you all later. Bye, Soapies.